the INK. Overall build quality, it is quite nice. We have a metal shell, feels solid. I quite like the feel of the shell. I find it very comfortable as well. It does have a bit of weight to it, but yeah, overall, I think it looks nice. I think it feels nice. It's a good build. The ear hooks are comfortable enough. Not a lot of problems here. It does have a slider and then goes into a straight termination. Cable is okay. It does have some memory, as you can see here, but it's not the worst cable I've ever tried. It's not the best cable I've ever tried. It's perfectly fine though. Case is lovely. I quite like this case. It's like a kind of leather feeling. I don't know if it's real leather, to be honest, but nice and soft on the inside, magnetic, great. No complaints about the case here. How does this thing sound? The bass is, it's okay. Not the worst thing. The only thing about the bass is that though it seems like a decent amount on a graph, it's kind of just behind compared to the upper mids, and we'll get to that in a bit. The glide into the lower mids is just fine. No problems there. The upper mids is a bit forward, just a bit. Actually quite a bit forward. Now, it does cut off nicely and kind of starts sloping off and then goes into the treble, but this can be a bit shouty at times. So on some songs like Green Day's Know Your Enemy, My Own Worst Enemy by Lit, Audio Slave Original Fire, all of those songs had some shout to them. They did have a bit of a, but I think this does appeal to a certain audience. I think that people who really want their vocals forward but still want a decent amount of bass, and the treble is actually quite nice. Actually, surprisingly, the treble is quite nice. I think that's the thing that I'm most impressed about with this IEM is the treble. The treble is some of the best treble I've ever heard coming out of a single dynamic driver. Seriously. I honestly think if I threw a Tanya filter or like some filter on this to kind of tone down that upper mids a little bit, I think this would be excellent. Like the treble is surprisingly good for what this is. I was impressed, not gonna lie. But yeah, the upper mids, it does come off a bit forward, and it is quite noticeable on some tracks, especially like my punk rock tracks, stuff like that. When I was listening to Lights, it sounded quite nice though. I didn't have any problems with that song. Female vocals sound great, and it does have a sufficient amount of bass, and yeah, it's just not bad. Listening to some old school hip hop Nas, we did encounter some harshness here and there just because of how boosted that upper mids is. But again, I do think that this will appeal to a certain audience. I don't think that this is a complete write-off. Even though it is real forward there, I don't think this is a complete write-off. Smash Mouth, All-Star, Shrek. Yeah, it's kind of the same story. For me personally, it's a bit forward in that upper mids, but I think there's an audience for this. I think there are some people out there that are gonna truly like the presentation of this, especially because of the treble. This IEM's treble is just surprisingly good for single dynamic driver. Maybe my favorite single dynamic driver treble I've heard, actually. I'm talking like the past, what is it? 6K. Everything past 6K is surprisingly good. I'm genuinely impressed with that part of this IEM. And for that alone, I think it's okay. And like I can see why people would want to buy this. I'm going to personally try slapping a filter on this and see if I can change that upper mids a little bit, because if I can get that treble with that decent amount of bass and tone down that upper mids, this could actually be a solid set for me personally. This is already a solid set for some people out there who really want their vocals forward. But yeah, for me personally, I just need that toned down just a pinch. Like I'm talking, I don't know, 5 to 10 decibels. But overall, I don't think this is a total write-off. I think it's an okay IEM, and it's the best KBEAR IEM or KBEAR or whatever you want to call it. It's the best one I've currently tried personally, and out of their stuff, and it's not a total write-off. The treble alone is surprisingly, it caught my attention. So, do I recommend it? Depends. If you want that super vocal forward sound with still a decent amount of bass and some solid treble, yeah, okay. If you don't want that kind of, it is a bit of a V. It is a bit of a V, you know? If you don't want that tonality, maybe look elsewhere, but I think this is one of those, there is a certain audience for this IEM, and I think that I think that audience will truly dig this. So, yeah, if you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time,